Hey everybody, welcome to the Equipcast. My name is Jim Jansen and I am your host. And I just had the most amazing conversation with Christina Diers. Christina and I sit down and talk about how do you integrate your body and your mind and your soul together. Unbelievable conversation. I know so many of you listening, you're trying to serve the kingdom, and maybe you've got a particular gift for intellectual formation, and man, you know and you love your faith. Or some of you, I know, are dedicated health enthusiasts and you are in great shape. But almost all of us find ourselves with some part of our life, our intellectual formation, our health, physically, the way we sleep, the way we eat, a little bit out of whack. And Christina talks about her journey, in particular, her discovery of SoulCore and REFORM, and how profoundly they impacted her freedom and her integration. If you've ever tried a diet, I guarantee it probably didn't start with, okay, step number one, go to Jesus. What does he want for your health? This is an unbelievable conversation. If you have a body, right? If you're not an animal with a body and no soul, or if you're not an angel, right, with a soul and no body, if you are a unity of body and soul, this conversation is for you. You're going to love it. Christina Diers and I sit down and talk about how to find freedom integrated with your body and your soul and your mind. Take a listen.
Welcome to the Equipcast for the Archdiocese of Omaha. Designed to help leaders to transform their cultures, to embody the pastoral vision, to be one church, encountering Jesus, equipping disciples, and living mercy.
Christina Diers, welcome to the Equipcast. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. So, Christina, I'm just laughing a little bit to myself as we jump into this conversation. I am so excited that we're going to get a chance to talk today about being really a whole person, body, mind, and spirit, in service to the kingdom. I'm really passionate about this, but it didn't dawn on me at all how much I wanted to talk about this until we had a mutual friend, shout out for Kay Doyle, who introduced us. And I think we talked really briefly, and I'm like, Christina, you need to come on the Equipcast. Yeah. So thank you for being here. Why don't you we'd like to, give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Just tell everybody a little bit about your faith journey.
Okay. Originally I was Presbyterian. My family was very active in our church in Grand Island, Nebraska. And so I feel like as a child, I had a connection with God. I felt close to God. And then, of course, you come into young adult years and went to college and sort of lost that connection. And I was thinking about that. And I think part of it was just, I had a church I always went to, and then I went off to college and didn't really seek one out,
Right. And the transition can be hard.
Yeah.
Just because it's a transition to say nothing, there's a few distractions on college campuses.
Right. And so I definitely got distracted, but came back, found a nice Catholic boy and got married. And as we were discerning where to go to church together, because that was something my dad had always said, as long as you go to church together, your marriage will be good, So
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. So I just felt drawn to the Catholic Church, and not because I understood what it meant.
Right.
I just liked the church itself that we were going to. So that pulled me in. And I would say even then, though, I didn't really practice living. I went to Mass on Sunday.
Right.
And that was, other than my personal prayer, that was about the extent of it. And then one year, about 9 years ago, my husband decided to pray the rosary every day for Lent. And I didn't really know anything about the rosary. All I ever knew was he said his grandma always had it hanging on her hip. And she was like always praying.
Always, yeah.
So I thought, well, that's actually cool. Because, the kids were in Catholic school. And so we were always, talking about, what are you going to give up for Lent? What are you going to give up? And when he said, I'm doing this, I went, oh,
wow. Yeah.
Okay. So the next
do something.
Yeah, it really inspired me. So the next year I prayed the rosary every day for Lent. And funny thing, I just never stopped.
Never stopped.
I still pray it every day, multiple times a day now. Sometimes it just depends on the day. But yeah. And I think in a nutshell, Mary just took over, basically. I didn't even, Mary wasn't a part of my faith life growing up.
Right.
But once I invited her in, she really did a great job of leading me to her son. I was just listening to another podcast and they were talking about this and how, you can have a relationship with Jesus and that's everything, right?
Right.
But when you invite Mary into it, it just takes it another level.
Yeah. It's
deeper.
a whole nother dimension that, right. If we were to describe the experience in a word, it's motherly.
It is.
Yeah.
She just adds a whole nother dynamic to it that you really shouldn't miss out on,
Yeah.
So that's not to say, Jesus is, and she leads you to him though. She helps you. So once I started praying the rosary every day, it was like a snowball. Things just started happening.
Yeah.
I just started getting pulled deeper into the Catholic faith, learning more. And at the time I was teaching Pilates, and a woman came in from out of town and we were talking and she asked me if I had heard of SoulCore.
Yeah. Now wait, before for the guys who are listening, what's Pilates?
Okay.
Maybe they
So Pilates is a type of exercise that it's really core strengthening.
Right. So abs and back,
planking, plank work, and it's very much centered around your core, your spine, and moving your spine in all directions so that it's healthy and mobile, and it's very good for the deep intrinsic muscles where to prevent injuries and so it's So awesome. I did that for a while.
Very fundamental kind of like workout routine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great complement to any other workout too. So it's But anyway, I was leading her through a class or a private session and she asked me about it. And I said, I'd never heard of SoulCore, and started looking into it and was immediately just drawn to it because it's the rosary and movement. So you're moving your body during the prayers, and then we meditate on each mystery. So I don't do anything halfway. So I immediately wanted to become a leader in it. Not really. I wouldn't say I was well-versed in the rosary. I was praying it every day, but I didn't really.
That's not nothing.
No, it's not nothing, but I don't think I fully comprehended everything,
Sure. Yeah.
And so this took me another level, and so I went to the leader retreat and there's a discernment period, and then ultimately decided to become a leader and started leading at St. Patrick's. And I was fine with all the physical movement part of it, but I was very nervous about the faith part of it and meditating on the mysteries.
Interesting.
However, I pushed through, and every mystery has a Bible verse and a quote and some kind of reflection. And so having to have that with each of the mysteries really taught me so much. So I learned a great deal leading the class. And then I started becoming curious. I started hearing words like wellness ministry. And I'm like, what is that? And started, just again, that's that kind of snowball effect where you learn more. And one of our SoulCore leader meetings we were doing virtually, they introduced us to Jackie Mulligan, who is the founder of REFORM. And I went, aha, that's the other piece I'm looking for. And so REFORM is a Christ-centered wellness program. Again, jumped in with both feet, took the online class, and I've been involved with REFORM since then. So that's kind of where it's brought me. I would say Mary started it all. She taught me about her son through the rosary. And then REFORM has taken it further in showing me how to practically live my Catholic faith with Jesus at the center of my life, involved in every part of my life, eating, sleeping, working out, just every aspect.
Right. The whole aspect.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. I want to break down more, talk a little bit, more about SoulCore and REFORM, but just I just have to highlight, you talked about you're praying the rosary every day for quite some time, more than a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And as you begin to get into SoulCore, your love for the rosary, your understanding, your appreciation is dramatically deepened. And I said, I don't know how many Catholics pray the rosary every day. but it's not all of us. It's
Yeah.
not a huge percentage. And it's just a beautiful thing to see how much that took you, just how that took you deeper.
Yeah.
If you can, I mean, we were talking, I think our first conversation, we noticed how beautiful it was, just this kind of Marian element, where, Mary's job is she gives Jesus his body, and as we learn to understand our own bodies and the relationship between our souls and our bodies and kind of like a total care, it just seems really appropriate that Mary would be kind of, if not in the lead, she'd be the kind of like background force drawing us there. Tell us a little bit more, again, maybe for those who haven't ever done anything like Pilates or don't have a regular workout routine, what's happening in addition to the prayers of the rosary? What's happening during like a SoulCore session?
Okay. With SoulCore, we always like to invite anybody and everybody that, fitness level is not a factor.
Right.
Because if nothing else, we want you to come and pray the rosary with us.
Sure.
So you could just sit and just pray. And that's you're doing SoulCore with us,
That's awesome.
Because the rosary is truly the focused. That there's never we don't ever want anything to stand in the way of that. So the prayers are the main thing. And then we typically do a push-up on the Our Father. And so obviously you can do modified push-ups on your knees or on your feet.
Right,
But then
okay.
I also lead a chair class at St. Patrick's where the women are seated and they just move their arms. We have them move their arms in and out instead of getting down
Sure.
on the floor. So there's so many ways to modify it that we just, every movement is what we say is an invitation.
Sure.
Make it your workout, do the things
Yeah.
that you have to do to, in a way, glorify God with your body, like really celebrate what he's given you and how you can use it, and what it's doing for you. And like he's given us these bodies. And I think it shows him honor when we take care of them and we use them in a way that, he would want us to.
Yeah.
So
Christina, I immediately, as you talked about this, my mind goes to, I frequently like to walk when I pray the rosary.
Me too.
Part of it is because it just keeps me from falling asleep. But also it seems to, when I can find the right space where I'm walking, particularly out in nature, it often draws me deeper into prayer because the movement helps, again, keep me awake, preserve some distraction. Talk a little bit about how do let's say a push-up, modified or not, or the movements of SoulCore, how do they help draw you deeper into the mystery? Because I think I can immediately say like, okay, I can see how going for a walk, that's been my experience. How do those movements, those exercises draw you deeper into the prayer?
So I've had, been in the fitness field for a long time and done a lot of different kinds of workouts. And one workout that is provenly effective over time is an interval workout where you push yourself for a little bit and then you rest and then you push yourself. And SoulCore is very much like that.
Okay.
So when we're meditating on the mysteries, we're not moving. So we have that rest time.
That's super helpful because I can imagine that people are thinking, like, I don't know, I'd be distracted, like doing any sort of push-up, modified or not, takes all of my energy. But you're saying while we're meditating on the mystery,
you're laying down or seated.
Yeah. Okay. So you have the ability to concentrate then.
Right. Yes.
That's helpful.
And then it's only on the Our Fathers and the Hail Marys that you're actually doing a movement. And we like to, every SoulCore leader is going to put their own spin on it. But one of the things they encourage us to do is to kind of pair the movements with the mysteries. So for example, sorrowful mysteries are usually more challenging.
Sure.
Encouraging you to push. And so what I like to help people recognize is like, think of the endurance it would have taken to carry the cross. You know, we can't even possibly come close. But just, if you can just try to empathize for this decade, like it really makes a difference. So I feel like in that way, we're honoring God with our bodies. And I feel like Mass is very much movement. We stand and we sit and we kneel.
So, I mean, it's a joke, right? Catholic calisthenics.
So SoulCore is basically like an extended version of that, just in a slightly different way. We're not, obviously we don't have the sacrament, so it's not like that, but it's different, and it's still using, God gave us these bodies and they're amazing. They can do so much. And so being able to really pray and move at the same time, I think it just makes that connection. And I think for me, it just allows me to really be grateful for what I have.
Well, and you're drawing your body into worship, which is just a human thing, but it's a particularly, I think, Catholic thing. I mean, that's what, we love incense and the movements, and we attend to our postures and the environment and all of that, because when it's rightly ordered, it like supercharges our worship and helps draw us, our hearts and our minds, because our hearts and our minds are connected to our bodies.
And that's one of the things we really try to emphasize with SoulCore too, is that, it's all senses. Your sense of touch, your sense of smell. Sometimes instructors will have incense or scented candles, or, we have candles, and we have, I like to place, I have an illustration of Mary that a religious sister drew and gave to a bunch of us. And it's so beautiful. I like to have it out by the rosary that I put in the middle and the candles. And so we truly try to incorporate all the senses with SoulCore, so that you really feel like it's all mind and body and soul together, really praying to our Lord.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about reform, because you said you had been doing SoulCore for a while, and then I think through your association there, it sounds like it was kind of a time of professional development for the instructors. You got acquainted with reform, and as we were talking, we actually, we know the founder, Father Innocent Montgomery, Nebraskan, CFR, the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal out in New York. Tell us a little bit about Reform.
Okay. So Reform is a Christ-centered wellness program. Jackie Mulligan is the foundress of it. She is a holistic nutritionist, and she has a great story, and I wouldn't do it justice. So you can go to the website to find out about that. But she made connections with the friars in New York and was working with them. And she was really amazed at how their transformation, applying what she was saying, with nutrition and movement, and they were putting it into their daily formation.
Yeah.
And she's like, she was amazed at how they transformed. And she asked either Father Innocent or one of the other priests, she goes, can lay people have a daily formation? And he said, yeah, it's for everyone. So she started putting it all together, and God really put it on her heart to put this all in place so that people can learn from it and, basically make their daily choices with Jesus in mind, like whatever, it may be, and really honor their bodies. And so because it was with the friars, they found that it was just, they were healthier, they had more energy, they could serve better, because their bodies weren't failing them. And Father Innocent has his testimony about how he wasn't well when he met her, and they were working together, and how she helped him and he helped her. She helped his body, he helped her soul.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if I'm getting this story right, she's doing consulting for the CFRs, because they're intensely serving, ministers of the gospel, but there's issues with, health and exercise. And as she's teaching them, she can see how profoundly it's affecting their health. And of course, they're integrating it with their spiritual routines. Yeah. And she's like, hey, wait a minute. Like, we should do this for lay people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, again, we both mentioned Father Innocent, and he had some health issues. I was thinking, personally, I'm passionate about this because I've had some significant health challenges myself. Mm-hmm. I was diagnosed with a pretty significant autoimmune disease about 17 years ago. And that forced me to a management of my stress, to a diet routine again, not diet to lose weight, actually diet to maintain weight. Just like I had to change the way I slept, the way I ate, the way I worked out, mostly as a stress management thing. And I had some friends, that they, heard about my crazy diet and they would tease me. And they're like, wow, so you're like Lent all year long. I'm like, well, yes, but because, I don't have processed sugars and it's a low inflammatory diet. But honestly, like the sacrifice of it, it's so worth it. Not just because I feel better, I don't feel sick, but like the discipline and the integration and like the intentional choosing to eat well, to sleep well, it overflows into every part of my life. And there's people who look at me now who think that I'm a really disciplined person. And I guess from a certain perspective I am, but it's not natural. It's something that I had to acquire in order to survive. And the benefit has been way bigger than any sacrifice.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how do people integrate this? And this is a lot of the work that Reform does. Like, how do you integrate, exercise and diet and health? Because everybody listening is like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to, but how do you actually do it?
Well, Reform teaches you to always go to Jesus first, right? So
yeah, say more about that, because most diets don't start there.
No, most diets don't, and I can tell you because I've tried a lot of them. Being a fitness professional, I would definitely say that my health, my workouts, my diet were idols in my life.
Wow,
that they were the thing that I spent the most time thinking about, and really it to the point where, it affected like my family and Reform took it and flipped it on its head, because instead of, I don't think I'm any less healthy than I was. So I feel like I come at it from maybe a different perspective. Most people would not be the crazy, fitness type, like that. And they're wanting to incorporate movement, or they're wanting to incorporate nutrition. And I'm coming from it from the other way. And what it did for me was I was overdoing it. I was obsessing about my food. I was exercising too much. I was starting to have overuse injuries. And what Reform taught me was that, God wouldn't treat my body like that. Even though I thought I was doing something really good for me, I was taking it too far. And so they showed me, that to look at myself the way God looks at me as his child and his beloved daughter. And what he would want for me is to incorporate some play and to have stress management, because honestly, my workouts probably were stressing me out more than they were doing me good, So I think they just take it and they have this monstrance as their sort of symbol or an image. It's not their main image, but they do use it on the front of their books. And I brought my book to help me remember all of the pillars. But they put faith at the center. So you'll spend some time learning about just some people. So for the people who aren't in ministry, they want to know about, how do I pray? Like how do I incorporate this relationship with God? Yeah. How do I get to know him, And so that's the first pillar, obviously, because that's where it all stems from. And then from there, so that's the center of your monstrance. And then from there, all the little pillars that stick out from the sides are play, nutrition, sleep, stress management, community, personal growth, space, and functional movement. Yeah. And so they spend time on each one of those and talk about, like, how is this? And you're going to have some that maybe play a bigger part in your life in different seasons, and then others. And it's fluid, and we're never going to get it all perfectly right. We're always going to be working on it. But what it did for me was put it all in balance and right order.
Yeah. Well, I love that you said that. It's like, balance is kind of an elusive thing that almost whispers the lie to us that once you get everything in order, just kind of freeze it. And it's a little bit about this. No, it's about living an ordered life. Yeah. Where there might be a season where you're on vacation and there's a lot more play. Yeah. Or you might be on retreat and there's a lot more prayer.
Right.
But can I live an ordered life where all of those elements, the play, the, work, faith, my sleep, my stress management, where all of those things are in harmony?
Correct. Yeah. And like you said, it just depends on where you are in your state of life,
Right.
So for like the mom who has little kids, sleep is going to be, something that they're not getting as much of,
It's hard, yeah.
and it is important, but you can do other things to manage that, like if you're, so they talk, what they have is a wellness account. They teach you about your wellness account.
Yeah.
And you can make deposits in your body and soul, and you can make withdrawals in your body and soul. And so it's kind of, they encourage you to do this once a week and just sit back and go, okay, what did I do this week for my body that was a deposit? Well, I drank water, I walked, whatever it is, all those
healthy,
things. Like I could sleep.
Went to bed early.
Yeah. And then what did I do for my soul this week? Well, I went to mass. I went to adoration. Maybe I made it to reconciliation. I spent time in prayer, with God every morning.
Yeah.
Whatever. It could be, I visited my parents.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, any of those things that bring you life. And then you go through the withdrawals too. And you have to recognize, I had a great time at that family get together, but I ate too much sugar. So
Yeah.
I probably better.
Totally hypothetically.
Right. Yeah. So I probably need to increase my sleep or, do something so you can balance it out so that or so that, going into something, I'm going to this family gathering and I haven't been getting enough sleep. So I really can't afford that glass of wine, or I really can't afford to eat the whole cake.
Again, hypothetical.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Christina, if we can just talk honestly, it seems like ministers of the gospel, and I don't care if you work professionally for the church, I know our listeners, they want to serve the Lord. They want to further the gospel. They're volunteering, they're serving, even if they're just trying to be a good Christian, witness to their coworkers and their neighbors and their family. It seems like that balance is lacking, right? I mean, it's like, mind, body, and spirit. It's like, well, I got 1 out of 3. It's like I pray, but I'm working so hard serving the Lord that I never eat well,
right? Or
I don't sleep well, or I don't renew my mind, or fill in the gap, the lie, maybe our own kind of. I think we all probably have a particular weakness, a part of what it means to live as a balanced human being. All of us, I think it seems like we have a temptation to cut corners somewhere, whether it's sleep or diet or exercise or, ongoing intellectual formation. How have you seen kind of this vision? I mean, the CFRs, I know, experienced a dramatic transformation. You said you've been doing this at your parish. How have you seen this vision change people?
Well, it's interesting you would say that, because I was speaking to a woman this morning after Mass and inviting her to join our class. And she said, "Oh, I'm so interested because I've seen such a change in this other woman."
Wow.
And she didn't specify exactly what it was.
Right.
But people are noticing it. And so what I think is really cool about it is you've got people like me who needed to get things in right order. And
Right.
then you've got people who are very involved in ministry. They're on, the faith development team, and they're giving of themselves to their point where they're depleted.
Right.
And then you've got your people who are, maybe okay on the wellness part of it, but they're needing more of the faith development. And all these people come together in a reform class.
Wow.
And it's you help each other. You know what I mean? Like you have your, we had Father Tom Fangman in the class last fall, and he was awesome. I mean, of course he's awesome, but,
right.
But he was, I think it made an impression on him. I've heard him talking about, he's trying to eat a little bit better, and he's paying a little more attention to that, and I think it's so important. Our priests are getting fewer and fewer, and we need to take care of the ones that we have.
Well, and the demands are more.
Yeah.
I mean, they're more than they've ever been.
Yeah. It's hard on them. And I really feel like Reform helps them understand that they can't give unless they've got something to give. They have to, it's really hard to show Christ's love when your body hurts and you don't feel well.
Right.
It's super hard to look at that person and be like, I see Jesus, because no, I don't. I feel bad inside, and that can be physically or spiritually, right?
Right.
So that's the beautiful thing about it.
I'm reminded as you're talking, reminding to like a spiritual director very early on in my missionary career, who, we were talking about my prayer, and it just kind of nailed me. It's like, your decision to pray doesn't happen at 6 a.m. It happens at 9 p.m. Like what you decide to do at 9 p.m. If you decide you're like, yeah, I will go out, or I will have another drink or another cake or whatever,
maybe.
Like it's your decision at the night before that determines the quality of your prayer. And he's like, you might forget that you're a body and soul, but the enemy doesn't.
Yeah.
And a subtle temptation to get you to, scroll or watch another movie or do whatever that puts you to bed late. That's where the battle for your prayer is at. And it was a game changer. Like that advice changed my whole prayer routine, and the quality of my prayer. And it was because he reminded me, you're a body and soul. And you just can't fake it if you're not getting the sleep you need.
Yeah. Yeah. Father Innocent says something very similar to the class. He says that once you've made the decision to pray, the sermon's over. You're doing it, you just, and it's so beautiful because, for those people who don't have that relationship with the Lord yet, it's like, okay, well, I guess it's go time, we've decided we're going to set 30 minutes aside as part of our daily formation. And that's it. There's no, am I going to do it? It's right. We're doing it. You don't, he says, you don't wake up and go, am I going to breathe today? Because you don't, you just do it. So, I love that. And I feel like the people who are involved in ministry, they feel like they're doing good, right? They're wanting to give. And how can you say no to that when, it's the right thing to do, or it feels, like you're helping somebody. And yet you have to preserve your resources, your body, right? Because if you want to continue to do what you're doing over the long haul, you have to care for your body too, you know? So,
well, and there is this is maybe obvious, but it's probably worth saying it explicitly. There's a formation element, like a teaching element, because many of us, we live in kind of such a fractured world where, here you are, you're a fitness guru, instructor, you're in that world for many years. And then you're like, oh, and learning more about my prayer and the rhythms of sleep. And then on the other side of the coin, so many ministers of the gospel, again, volunteers, professionals, like, boy, they know the catechism inside and out, but they don't really know the fundamentals of healthy movement, healthy sleep, healthy diet. In particular, I'm not going to give any health advice, but I can say when I was forced to pay attention to what good nutrition actually was because of my health condition, I began to discover this whole like, oh, who knew? There is a popular and largely untrue kind of nutritional wisdom. Just in the same way, there's kind of a popular wisdom about what makes for a healthy spiritual life. And really discovering, okay, hey, what is really true about healthy eating and sleeping and movement was something that I didn't really know. And it sounds like SoulCore is kind of providing this foundational, Reform is providing this kind of foundational understanding of what health really looks like in all these dimensions of our life.
Yeah, it is. It's very much for me, Ben, how do I incorporate my faith into everything that I do so that I'm actually living it out, and it's, I would have said before I had a faith, I would have said, I pray, and I go to mass and I have a relationship with the Lord, but I don't think I really knew what it could look like. Like I'm sure it was fine. It was good, but this has taken me further. This has taken me deeper. And I feel like I've gotten such a deeper sense of joy and peace from it. I was very healthy, but my faith was just kind of like parallel to it.
Yeah. Well, compartmentalized.
Yeah. And I don't feel like I was especially nice. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I didn't I didn't make the connection, right? Like I didn't understand, like I thought I was being a good Christian, but I wasn't really practicing it. Yeah. And so now I feel like because I'm incorporating a formation and there's more balance and I'm really putting Jesus first and I'm really asking Jesus before I do things, what should I do about this? What do you want me to do right now? Do you want me to go for a walk or do I need to sit here with my daughter and talk to her because she's hurting? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's stuff like that I would have been like taskmaster. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. And now I feel like I don't get as much done around my house, but I feel like I'm putting the people in my lives first. And I'm really more focused the way that I believe Jesus wants me to be,
Christina, as you're talking there's one word that's coming to mind. It sounds like there's a freedom.
Yeah.
There's a greater freedom to be present to your child, your child or someone in need, to have a glass of wine or a piece of cake, to have the energy you need for the task at hand. Like just whatever way it shows up, you found a freedom and an integration through all this.
Yeah. And I think I've heard it said, I can't even remember where, but there is freedom in obedience. So when you are obedient to what the Lord is asking of you, there is a huge freedom there. And that I would agree, that's what's happened to me. And it's made me just more aware of the world around me so that I can be maybe a little bit more of a light for Christ to others. Because I would have been like out on the trail, tearing it up, going. And now I stop and, I'll talk to somebody that I see on the trail or, and it's not about me anymore.
That's fantastic. Well, and again, you're coming at it from a perspective where fitness was number one.
Yeah.
But I can see that same, in myself, and I can see that same imbalance, only my imbalance was more about intellectual formation or getting stuff done and it's the same. It's the same kind of root problem.
Yeah. Pick your poison. There's Everybody so many ways that we can get things out of order, and I think that for sure reform has helped me with that. And it's just helped me. I'm not doing it perfectly, but it's something that it's an awareness that I have now.
Well, it's kind of like I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I think part of what is attractive to a lot of people as they're watching kind of like the new, Life of Jesus, the Chosen movie, is that when people see the way that Jesus and the apostles are portrayed, Jonathan Rumi, especially with Jesus, he seems like a real person.
Yeah.
But but like a healthy real person. You see play, you see fun, you see, deep conviction and intellectual, strength. But you see like this whole, you see him resting and eating. You see, one of the episodes, you see him working himself to exhaustion. You see this kind of complete picture, which often is lacking in the caricatures we get about Jesus and the lives of the saints.
Yeah.
But when you really get the chance to be around someone who is truly healthy as an entire person, boy, it's all there and it rings true.
Yeah. It's living fully alive, right?
Yeah.
It's really, it brings you so much more joy and gives you such a different lens to look at the world, So, I think one of the things that separates us, we're human beings and God created us in his image.
Yeah.
We are not animals and we're not angels. We have a body and a soul.
Yeah.
And because of the fall, we have a hard time integrating the two. It's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the consequences of sin is
Right.
that we feel ill at ease sometimes in our body.
Yeah. So it's just like we were saying, some of us have, a stronger faith. Some of us have maybe a healthier lifestyle. Some of us have neither one.
Yeah.
It's finding that way of integrating the both. And that just takes you that much closer to that fully alive and that much closer to what maybe God intended for us,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Christina, our time is like totally flown here. And we've been talking a lot about just like kind of like the benefits and what you've seen. And regardless of pick your poison, regardless of where you tend to be underdeveloped or where you tend to be overemphasized, talk a little bit just as, as somebody who's listening is like, okay, I want this. I want to be free. I want to be integrated. What's a first step?
Well, I would invite them to go to SoulCore or REFORM's websites. SoulCore, if you are just looking for a way to incorporate prayer and movement, that's going to be a great place to go. They have a free 2-week trial.
Nice.
And they have
Okay.
videos on their website, or come to St. Patrick's when I'm leading classes there if you want. And with Reform, I would go to their website for sure and go through, you can play around on there. And then there's also, if you put links in your
We do.
podcast,
Yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes.
I can give you a link to their free webinars that they have on Vimeo. And so you can check out some of their content there. But Reform can be taken as an online course virtually, which is what I did at first. And now they are offering it in a few parishes where they have people like me who are, have been through it a few times, and we become a guide. And we offer the class at the parish. And so I'm offering it now at St. Patrick's. And we did it in the fall. We're doing a Lenten version now. And then hopefully we'll continue to offer it there. So, but if you were just wanting to know more, I would definitely go to the website. That's the best source of information.
No, we'll put those in the show notes, but just give them out here. How do people find SoulCore? What's the website?
SoulCore.com.
Okay, SoulCore.com and Reform.
That one's a little harder. It's reform-wellness-.co, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put them both in the show notes, and then people can search. If you like do like Reform as a search on Google and you find, Reform Wellness and you find like a priest on that, you probably hit the right one.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, look, there's a monk. Okay, I got it.
Reform Wellness. Yeah, definitely. Because I think
Wellness.
if you just search Reform, it'll bring up all kinds
that's
of stuff.
There's a lot of words. You'll end up Presbyterian.
Could be. Yeah.
There's Christina, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. I know right now you're thinking about somebody who needs to hear this. So be safe, take good care of your body, wait until you're done driving. Don't try and share it while you're driving, but share this with somebody, offer an encouragement. Go check out the websites, SoulCore and Reform. We'll put those in the show notes for you. Christina, again, thank you for being here.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, have a great day.